Welcome to the first video of the submodule called Innovative Digital Tools for Enriched Tourism Experiences at Heritage Sites. One of the most important advances in recent years in information and communication technologies has been the use of digital tools to create a modified reality, whether completely virtual, augmented, or mixed. Virtual reality allows the user to enter and interact with a completely artificial environment created by the computer without having any visual contact with the real surroundings. This raised the possibility of creating environments with functional rules that can be similar to those of the real world or shaped freely. The degree of immersion of the participant in this new virtual world depends to a large extent to the visualization system used during the experience. The so-called window-on-world systems use a desktop monitor as a window on the virtual world, and video mapping can be used to merge the user's video with a 2D model created by the computer. However, if we aim to provide participants with a fully immersive experience, we must use special display devices such as head-mounted displays, smart glasses, or the cave-assisted virtual environment or cave technology, which relies on a complex projector system to create an immersive room. Augmented reality differs from virtual reality as it complements rather than recreates the real world through the use of virtual objects that appear to coexist with the physical realm. Therefore, AR combines real and virtual objects in a real environment and also allows interaction in real time, without being limited to the sense of sight. Some authors place AR within the area of mixed reality, which embraces technologies that involve the fusion to a greater or lesser degree of real and virtual worlds. Over the last decade, numerous virtual or augmented experiences have been created to aid the interpretation of cultural heritage sites. They are generally implemented to fill gaps or to overcome the limitation of other traditional means of presentation and interpretation, such as text, audio, or information panels. Heritage institutions are starting to use AR mobile applications to add an informative layer over the reality of the physical objects that aim to improve the visitor experience. The studies carried out so far show that these AR systems are capable of increasing the degree of the visitor interaction with the heritage site, and as a result, they are able to improve learning and awareness during and after the visit. However, the incorporation of this type of VR or AR technologies is a challenge. Firstly, it's not always easy to integrate them in existing experiences that usually rely on other means to communicate the heritage values. In addition, we have to face the marking of the heritage pieces with codes, which is sometimes not possible in the case of AR. When developing immersive VR activities, it is also necessary to show visitors how to participate and get the most out of the experience, which is especially important in the case of using less familiar devices, such as smart glasses. Virtual content should be presented to add new values to heritage objects and sites, but without creating new physical or interpretational barriers between them and the observers. Portable audio guides were one of the first technologies introduced by heritage institutions due to their potential to enhance the visitor's experience on site. This type of technology was evolved significantly over the last decade, but its functions, implementation, requirements and basic features remain the same. Stedelijk Museum in Amsterdam was the first institution to introduce handheld museum guides in its exhibition rooms in 1952. The aim was to provide a device that the visitor could carry around and that also respected the quiet and silence traditionally associated with walking through museum rooms. They therefore used pre-recorded guided tours in 4 different languages that were stored on small portable devices. Visitors could listen to the audio tours through headphones while they walked around the museum. When this system was implemented, the technological limitation of analog devices caused certain usability constraints. The main one was that the museum visitor had not control over the recordings, and as a result, they would all be listening to the same audio at the same time, and they would all be walking around the same places in the museum. For instance, they could not pause the recording to stop and spend longer observing a specific work that had caught their attention. As early as the 1970s, those limitations were overcome with the Sony Walkman device that allowed visitors to pause, fast-forward or rewind narrations on the tape recordings, thereby giving them greater control over both the time and route while visiting the museum. Likewise, they could stand closer to the objects they found most interesting or listen again to a part of the narration that they did not understand or merely captured their attention. However, it was still very difficult to find the section of the recording that the user wanted to listen to again. The introduction of the Acoustic Guides direct access device at the Louvre in 1993 changed that scenario. Designed for the museum's permanent collection, it allows users to switch to any part of the audio guide with a simple click of a button, making the whole system more effective and efficient. Audio guides have evolved significantly, and the term audio guide is now used to refer to a wide variety of devices from PDAs to smartphones. They are expected to continue to evolve in the years to come. However, the parallel improvement of the visitor's experience will come less from the evolution of the technology itself. It will be mainly the result of a thorough understanding of users' needs and expectations and how digital tools can be used to meet them. The presence of digital tools and devices in our daily lives also means that more and more people feel comfortable using these technologies when visiting heritage sites. Moreover, visitors are no longer static audiences but participatory and active individuals, as in the case of TV viewers. TV viewers no longer accept that programs can only be seen at preset times. Instead, they expect on-demand viewing, and even the possibility of interacting with that is happening on the screen. Therefore, if we wish audio guides to remain an attractive option for visitors to a heritage site, we should ensure that they are kept up to date with visitors' needs and expectations when new experiences are designed. Cultural institutions can provide a large amount of information through audio guides so that each individual can adapt it to their specific desires without forgetting that these digital devices have three special features that other digital media cannot offer. They are mobile and can be carried easily by the user. Moreover, they do not require a specific location and can provide visitors with full access to audio narratives anytime and anywhere. They are digital. Despite the small size of these devices, they are very powerful and can be used by designers to offer more attractive and engaging experiences. They are individual. Unlike catalogs, information panels, touch screens, they are personal devices, and as such, they are adaptable to the needs and expectations of each visitor. However, this possibility of audio guides to offer increasingly customizable products have been questioned in recent studies. Here, it is questioned to what extent these handheld devices might lead to socially isolated tourist experiences, as well as the extent to which audio guides can manipulate or interfere with the message that each cultural institution wants to communicate. Both are issues for careful consideration during the conceptualization and implementation steps of a project. This brings us to the end of our video on virtual and augmented reality and audio guides. See you in the next video.